here again with, as Harry would say, the most frequent guest in HIAC Talk Radio. I'm sorry, HIAC Wrestling Podcast. Not calling it Talk Radio anymore. I'll explain in a minute. But he's back. Harry Barnett, Craig Lagans, and myself. Harry has to come on the show. I'm not sure why, so we're going to vamp on that. After Craig, I'm going to put you on the spot right now since I lost track of what I was doing. So I can gather my thoughts. I would like you to take over first this time and start the show off with the Wrestling Historian, if you don't mind, sir.
Of course I do not mind, sir. It's an honor to be back on this fine wrestling podcast because it's been this week in pro wrestling history has been an eventful one. You're going to notice a theme here as we talk about the end of August and the traditional wrestling shows that took place at the end of August. And some milestones occurred that I'd love to hear both of your opinions on, Dan and Harry. Going to go back to August 29th. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry. I forgot to fire up the Wayback Machine. And as you love the digital effects that we've added to this segment of Wrestling Historian, because I'm going to take you fans back to a time when territories existed where different wrestling organizations were seen as healthy competitors and not adversaries, when titles were called belts, and when sports entertainment was professional wrestling. We're going to go back to August 29th, 1982. In St. Paul, Minnesota, something happened. A world title change happened in St. Paul, Minnesota. Otto Wanz, the Austrian heavyweight champion, and he was the Jerry Lawler of Austria, of the CWA, where many American wrestlers found a great deal of experience and fame and fortune. He came to the United States and he defeated Nick Bockwinkel August 16th, 1982. Now, it was seen as a huge upset in America because American fans had never even heard of Otto Wanz, while wrestling fans like me who read the After magazines knew very well of Otto Wanz's exploits in Austria. He had beaten such great American stars like Blackjack Mulligan, like Hulk Hogan, like Stan Hansen, and in Austria, he was the Hulk Hogan of Austria. But the thing is, Otto Wanz weighed in a legit 400 pounds and looked like Bob's Big Boy on steroids. He was just a big, round dude that had four chins instead of the double chins, but not the man you would say would be a world championship caliber person. But I found out later, not unlike Giant Baba's world title, NWA title reigns against Harley Race, it was a handshake deal between the AWA and the CWA to do business with Nick Bockwinkel doing business in Austria and going overseas, and signed a lucrative deal over there in exchange for Otto Wanz getting a AWA heavyweight championship reign. This is later, All Japan did the same thing with Jumbo Tsuruta later on, with him being AWA champion. So several handshake deals went through with AWA and other wrestling organizations, but this title reign from Otto Wanz, and Google that name, Otto Wanz, folks, if you want to see what a real large, super heavyweight looks like. But he defeated Nick Bockwinkel for the AWA heavyweight title in a huge upset, but was national news in Austria. August 29th, 1982.
It's a big boy.
That same date. I'm sorry, Dan.
I was just saying, that's a big boy.
He is a big boy.
He only died recently, 2017.
Yeah.
74. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just...
He lived a long life for someone of his girth. That same day, August 29th, 1988, in Madison Square Garden was the first ever SummerSlam.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, you remember the marquee, Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage defeating the makeshift team of Ted DiBiase and Andre the Giant, setting the stage for the Mega Powers. That was the first time the Mega Powers teamed up, and the Mega Powers would indeed explode. But that was the main event. Also on that card, the Ultimate Warrior ended the longest Intercontinental title reign of all time in only 31 seconds.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I know I'll catch heat for this. I never understood Honky Tonk Man. I still don't understand Honky Tonk Man, but, it's from one to another as far as IC titles. So it's like,
Yeah, it's still the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. We're going on 31 years now, and it ended, ironically, in 31 seconds.
Yeah, wow.
To the Ultimate Warrior. Also on that, still on that same date, August 29th, big day in wrestling history, also in SummerSlam history, because August 29th, 1992, SummerSlam took place in London at Wembley Stadium. Still the biggest and most successful WWE pay-per-view overseas of all time. 82,000 people in Wembley Stadium got to watch a spectacle. The heavyweight title match was overshadowed. The heavyweight champion Randy Savage taking on the Ultimate Warrior again, but was overshadowed by the Intercontinental Championship match between then champion Bret Hart and the challenger, London's own Davey Boy Smith. Walking him into the ring, holding the Union Jack, the London flag, was heavyweight champion Lennox Lewis. Was the man who walked Davey Boy into the ring, and in one of the greatest matches of all time. But the main event was the Intercontinental title.
We'll never get anything like that again. No, never again. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's Raw, SmackDown, or even if they went as far as a pay-per-view. You'll never get something as monumental as that. That many people, such a big-time historic event. It's never going to happen again.
I mean, Wembley Stadium was such an iconic stadium in the first place. Like, even as a kid, and to be honest, it was the connection to the band Genesis and other rock music of the 80s. All these superstars, Queen, Michael Jackson, going into the stadium and beating the last person's record attendance for years. Wembley Stadium was like this mecca venue. And then, of course, on top of that, you got SummerSlam. And was it mid-2000s, 07, 08, maybe later, they tore it down and literally built a new one on top, and it's just not the same anymore. I think it was 06, 07, now that I'm remembering correctly.
I think it was sooner than then, because the first show I actually went to was a Raw in 2005, and that was at the Wembley Arena. At that point, I believe the stadium was gone.
Okay. Yeah. I think, cause the teardown and the refit, sorry, Craig, I love that stadium. So I loved any chance to talk about Wembley. I'll do it. The teardown, it was a few years. It was like, I want to say it was about 2 years. Cause if I'm remembering correctly, one of the first things they had there, or one of the bigger things, the first big thing they had there was, Live Earth. And I believe that was 07. And I know that because I cut my ass up early to watch Genesis. Again, it goes back to there. But, Harry, again, I don't want to track too far off this, but Harry made a good point talking about you'll never see anything like that again. And one of the reasons is time zones. I don't give a crap about the time change. The UK deserves a show. And it deserves a show on that grand scale. And I'm really, really tired of having to hear that the time zone is that major difference when you're having all these Saudi Arabia shows that are doing all this attendance. I would like a UK show, please, to be honest.
Well, but between the Saudi shows and obviously NXT UK, I know neither of them are, a SummerSlam or WrestleMania, but still, I don't know or care about numbers, but still, these are pay-per-view level things. So it's kind of like, well, people are watching them. I may not be watching them, but I'm going on Twitter and I'm seeing people are watching them. So surely that should count for something. In this era, at least.
I've gotten up. And Craig, you take it right back over. I've watched the Beast from the East show. I've watched the Saudi Arabia shows even. And that's the other thing. People say time with the network. It doesn't matter. That excuse is dead when you can just, okay, I got home. I'll watch the show that aired from the UK earlier and you get your numbers that way. I think it's time to stop pussyfooting around that and just give them a show. That's just me though.
Yeah, and a lot of people share that view, Dan. I mentioned the show, this SummerSlam in London took place August 29th, but it didn't air in the United States until August 31st.
And literally witnessed to one of the best matches ever. And that is also when you add in the consideration, Craig, that Bulldog could barely walk. And they called that match. Brett called the match, and you can't deny that it's one of the best. And you can't deny that anybody, none of the smarks knew that Bulldog was injured until years later. Like, oh, he was injured the whole time? You didn't know. That match was that good. Get out of here.
It was that good. And it really, it highlighted what had been a SummerSlam tradition of the Intercontinental title match stealing the show. And, the value of how huge being the Intercontinental champion was.
Yeah.
You think of all the great Intercontinental title matches, Bret Hart and Davey Boy in London, Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon, the ladder match, Ricky Steamboat and Randy Savage, all over the Intercontinental title. And what you said, Harry, about that match never taking place again. Will we ever see the Intercontinental title be that popular again, be that major a thing? As we move on to the Wrestling Historian segment, one in particular, August 30th, that SummerSlam, 1993. I'm going to go to this point because I just made a point about the Intercontinental Championship. This particular SummerSlam, August 30th, 1993, Shawn Michaels, the Intercontinental Champion, defeated Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig by countout. That's very significant because that was the first time in SummerSlam history where the Intercontinental title did not change hands.
Wow.
Every SummerSlam prior to that, the Intercontinental Championship had changed hands.
Wow.
But that particular SummerSlam was not only that happened, Shawn Michaels retained the Intercontinental title, but the main event was the single biggest flawed main event ending in wrestling history when Lex Luger defeated the WWF Heavyweight Champion Yokozuna by countout. Yet there was a flood of confetti and balloons that dropped from the ceiling, and Lex Luger was paraded around on the shoulders of his fellow WWF wrestlers as if he won something. And folks, you have to remember, this was the beginning, this was the end of the greatest push any wrestler had ever received in the history of the WWF, the Lex Express. And this match with Yokozuna was billed as Lex's first, last, and only shot at Yokozuna's title. If he didn't win, he would no longer get any title matches against Yokozuna. Yet he won the match by countout to end the show.
I never got Lex Luger. The less I say about Lex Luger, the better, because I know that
I still don't get him.
Exactly. That I know people that I feel I'm fairly close to, and not so much that I used to be close to, that will curse my name if I talk bad about Lex Luger. Because I'm sure you'll mention it later in this Wrestling Historian. This turns into a whole thing with Lex. Bury the lead, Harry. Calm down. Let Craig work his magic. But yeah, it confused me cause it was, the WrestleMania moment was confusing. Like, for Lex Luger, that was botched. And it had a great start with the Nimitz thing and the body slam on Yokozuna, and okay, you sold me on Lex, let's do this. And then, and then you cut to SummerSlam, and you just, alright, well, okay. Which, the man himself, a different discussion, but when you get to everything, the only moment I can come up with where I'm like, finally, Lex Luger is 97 when he took the title off Hogan, but then he gave it back a week later at Road Wild in 97. It's just, I don't understand it. I just don't.
Well, this accumulated August 30th, 1993, the end of the Lex Express, a count-out win over a champion where the title didn't change hands, and yet he was celebrated like he was. Jim Cornette said it best, who was the Yokozuna's manager at the time, said, I've never seen a whole lot for a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah. Leave it at that.
Leave it at that. Staying on that same date, August 30th, 2007, was another landmark date. The WWE's wellness policy had been put into effect following the losses of some prominent wrestlers. Well, on August 30th, 2007, the WWE suspended 10 wrestlers in one day.
Oh, that's yeah.
Among the 10, some of them are no longer with us. Among the 10 that were suspended on that day, this fateful day, Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, Bryan Adams, Crush, Umaga, Chavo Guerrero, Hurricane Shane Helms, Randy Orton, John Morrison, Nitro, Funaki, Charlie Haas, William Regal, Edge, and Ken Kennedy.
No
all were suspended all were suspended that day. Others made their way back to the company. Others did not. But all were took their punishment, and all some were never to be seen from or heard from again.
Yeah, we're just going to move on from that.
Yeah. September 1st, very memorable day in as far as wrestling angles goes, because this was one of the most frightening things to see in real time, and for a territory that's known for some incredible wild angles. This is predating ECW or anything you've ever seen in Combat Zone Wrestling or any other hardcore festivities. On September 1st, 1980, in Memphis, Tennessee, at the WMC television studios, this is during Jerry Lawler's feud with Eddie Gilbert. Jerry followed Eddie out into the parking lot to where Eddie went to escape in his car, and this was there where Eddie Gilbert ran down Jerry Lawler in his car. Eddie supposed to hit on the brake so Jerry could hop on the hood, mistakenly hit the gas, and Jerry flew over top of the car, landed squarely on his hip, and Eddie kept going, scared out of his mind, turned a corner and got to a payphone they're called payphones back then, kids, to call the studio to find out about Jerry Lawler. This, the hit, Eddie Gilbert hitting Jerry Lawler with his car, panicked so many viewers, at least 24 people called the cops. to report an attempted murder. And if you've ever seen Harry or Dan, the actual footage of this, it still gives me goosebumps. Very frightened. And when the cops showed up at the studio, Jerry Lawler, in clear and obvious pain from his hip, had to tell the cops that it was just an act, that he was fine, that it was just part of the show. And there were no cell phones at the time, so Jerry had to call the payphone where Eddie Gilbert was and tell him not to come to the studio because cops were waiting there to arrest him from what fans were calling an attempted murder. And Jerry, not breaking kayfabe, despite almost breaking his hip, saying, "I don't want the cops involved. I'll take care of Eddie Gilbert in the ring." But September 1st, 1990, one of the wildest, one of the wildest angles and one of the wildest things ever seen on. And this is Saturday morning TV, folks.
Yeah.
This took place around 9:30 in the morning in the Memphis WMC studios. Eddie Gilbert running over Jerry Lawler with his car. Crazy. September 2nd, 1992, Clash of Champions 20. This will be the main event, the best match on the card. Ricky Steamboat defeated Steve Austin for the WCW Television Championship. Oh, wow. Steve Austin on many occasions has called Ricky Steamboat the best wrestler he's ever worked with. This match is a chief reason why. They went at it for about 20 minutes, and this is Steve Austin at the top of his game before he got to the WWE. He and Steamboat put on a clinic, and again, Steamboat with anyone, you'll see the best match on the card. And with a young Steve Austin, you can't get any better than this. I also believe this was the match where Steamboat fell on his tailbone from just taking a random bump from the second turnbuckle. He went and sat back, and he knew something was wrong, and that was the beginning of the end of his wrestling career. May have been that match, may not have been, but the Ricky Steamboat versus Steve Austin match for the TV championship was the best match on that card. Clash of Champions 20. The other most notable thing about this on September 2nd, 1992, at Clash of Champions 20 was the last television appearance of Andre the Giant.
Oh, that's right. That's at Greensboro, right?
Yeah.
And they
Charlotte.
Greensboro,
North Carolina. Yeah.
Yeah. No, was it? I'm confused. Is it Charlotte or Greensboro?
It was Greensboro. You're right.
Okay. I was like, oh wait, it might have been Charlotte because that's another WCW mecca, and I might have said the wrong word. Because I remember everybody came up to that.
Yeah.
You could name that was NWA at that point, or had been. You know what I mean? Legends. It was touted as this Legends night, and they're doing interviews. They have it for those who haven't seen it. It's crazy. It's treated as like this mega event. And they do interviews with like red carpet of these legends coming in, and blow my mind is in as a kid, frickin' Andre.
Yeah.
On a WCW.
On the WCW show, and Bruno was there too.
Bruno was there. Mick Bockwinkel was there at that point, right? I believe he was there. But you see Andre in this big and I don't mean this as a joke. Who made those industrial hand crutches? Because it was a couple months, maybe weeks before he died.
That was in 92. He died in 93, in January 93.
So about a year.
But that was his last time on television. And
he still looked like Andre, and you could tell he wasn't feeling well, but he was very pleasant during the interview with Sully or Tony, because they were both doing interviews at the beginning. I haven't watched it in so long. And there was Andre, and just that you know, he gets on the list of wrestlers who's been on WCW and WWF television.
Yeah.
For an kind of unfortunate reason, but he seemed to, we know now the pain and the suffering he'd been in all his life, especially towards the end, that HBO documentary. He was pleasant. He was good spirits, and it was Andre. You know, you just ignore the aid he had, but it was still Andre. It was cool to see.
Yeah, Gary Michael Capetta was the ring announcer that night, and he still has the picture of him between Andre and Bruno from that night. And
Wow.
said Andre was just in great spirits. And yeah, it's the inside jacket or either the centerfold or the back of his book, the picture of him between Andre and Bruno, because we didn't know then that would be Andre's last appearance on television. And last appearance at a wrestling show. But he was in good spirits. He had that Andre smile on him. And despite whatever pain he was in, it was like you said, Dan, amazing to see Andre on TV or at a WCW event. Absolutely incredible. But September 2nd, 1992 would be Clash of Champions 20 would be Andre's last appearance on television.
Which talk of Andre is gonna get me in tears, like a large man watching the Andre documentary. I'm gonna cry in a minute.
Yeah. Sorry, Harry. Let's make Harry cry.
Yeah. we'll just
I wasn't talking about you, Dan. I was talking about another large man, but
oh,
we'll just leave it at that.
Wow. All right. Touche. Fine. Hey, Craig.
Which brings us to today. Today in wrestling history. First of all, happy 33rd birthday to Xavier Woods. 1/3 of the new day, Dr. Xavier Woods. Happy 33rd birthday. And on this day, Daniel, 24 years ago today, of all places, Bloomington, Minnesota, the Flashpoint, Mall of America, the Monday Night Wars would officially get underway with the debut of WCW Monday Nitro. The matches were were no more or just as exciting as any Clash of the Champions that I mentioned earlier. But the main event, the big to-do, Sting going up against World Heavyweight Champion Ric Flair, when who should make their way down to ringside, having just wrestled a match the night before in Canada for the WWE, but the aforementioned total package, Lex Luger.
Yay. And there was much rejoicing.
There was much rejoicing. There was much aghast because Lex Luger, like I said, had just wrestled the night before on the WWE, and Luger showed up on WCW and said, why was he there? How could he possibly be there when he wrestled for WWE? Luger cited breach of contract because he was promised the WWE title. He took promotional pictures with it, took 8x10s with it. There was a whole campaign with him holding the belt. Obviously, the Lex Express was supposed to result in him being champion, and it never happened. So, Lex, I was promised a championship. I never got it, so I'm out. And Lex Luger showing up on the very first WCW Monday Nitro would begin the Monday Night Wars 24 years ago today.
I do want to go back real quick on what you said about match quality, because we talk about match quality being that of Clash of Champions. The first match on WCW Nitro history was the just now retiring this year Jushin Thunder Liger versus Flying Brian Pillman. And it's like...
That was a great match.
It was freaking fantastic. It's two of the best in that. It's like you say Flying Brian was in his prime, but we never got past his prime. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? And so you got that amazing match.
Call him Frying Blind.
Frying Blind? Frying.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to call him Pillman Senior now that there's a junior. And then you had Bubba versus Hulk. It's okay. You know, then you had Sting and Flair, which, you know, it wasn't one of their better ones, but it was just as entertaining for the 10 minutes they had, because it literally was a match as a vehicle to go, This is Nitro. We're full of surprises. Here's Lex Luger, kids. And it's like, oh, goody. I've always been that way about Lex. Oh, goody. Yay. I just, I haven't changed. But that first match, the other thing you also talk about is, we also always talk about how bad Mongo was, but Mongo and Brain, and more so because of Bobby, were just great. Going at each other. And a lot of that was, Mongo got all his one-liners out the first night, and it was a lot of repeat after that for another year he did it for before he finally jumped, which I'm coming up on soon. But, that was we make fun of it being in the Mall of America, but, former site of, the baseball stadium there, it was you had at least 2,000, close to 2,000 people in that little spot. So that's weird. It's weird Harry's gonna be like, get over it. I know. Get over WCW. I'm past that.
WCW died down.
It did? Damn it. But with the false starts of the next wrestling war we've had for years with TNA and Ring of Honor, which I'm still worried about Ring of Honor, man. They sold 200 tickets before their big show in Chicago in 4 days. I'm not making fun of them. I'm legitimately worried for them. We went from...
I will.
Oh, you do that. Yeah, that's okay. That was Harry. We'll make fun of it after. But they went from selling out Madison Square Garden in April, and I don't know what happened there. But you had the advent of the AEW show starting and them going head to head because WWE said, okay, and decided to throw, thankfully, NXT in on Wednesdays on network television. The advent of a possible war. It's weird to talk about it all these years later because jokingly, yes, WCW died, but that is the only company that made Vince
sweat.
Dan.
It died. It died. It's not a joke.
It
actually happened.
Yeah,
but we've been gone for a long time.
I will hang you up. Thank you. I will. I will hang you up.
That hammer says differently.
We can't see it on the split screen because you're too lazy to split the screens now. I don't know. It's cut off. You got to move them. You got to move the hammer I cannot pronounce the name of.
At this time of the night, the worthy hours are between 12 and 12. It's currently 5 to 3.
Anyway, I'm looking forward to it, and they have to put a match on like that. So I'm only assuming that the first match they will have on whatever the hell it's called, Dynamite or whatever, it has to be Flying Brian Jr. He's there.
The thing about that is, isn't he under contract to MLW? There's all these MLW
anymore.
people who have shown up there who are going to be done with MLW, but it kind of raises the question, is he under contract there? Yeah, he's been appearing, he's been in those pre-show battle royals, but kind of says, all right, once it's actually TV, what's the deal?
Wait, I don't know the status of the contract. He did sign one in 2018, but if it's only a year or two, it could be coming up soon. So I don't know. We will see. He was backstage getting made fun of by Jericho. Jericho, who made history. What a segue. You're done, right, Craig? Did you do your outro?
You just did. So that was my outro. No. Wrestling historian, folks. Thank you.
No, I was going to say, I need to hear it from the man so I know I can move on. Do it one more time.
And the lights can't come back on until you do.
Yes. See?
And that, ladies and gentlemen, has been the wrestling historian.
See, I always forget because Craig will sell that it's the last item on his historian. So I just naturally assume, okay, well, we can segue. And then I forget, no, we can't segue without the outro, Dan. Shut up. But
at least you said it, not us.
No. Everybody tells me to shut up. Nobody cares. Including a gentleman a gentleman, I use that term lightly, which we're going to not even name by name in a second. Harry will understand how I'm going to proceed with that one. But I wanted to say, as I said, Jericho is the first ever AEW champion. Great match. It was a good show. I'm not going to review the whole thing because I want to wait for the show to start, the weekly show to start airing before we go over things in depth on the show and we talk about it like we would Raw or SmackDown. I enjoyed that show. I don't care as much as I get involved with Twitter BS. I don't care that I needed to analyze every single solitary second of it. It was a highly enjoyable show. There was very little low points in my opinion. Very, very little low points in my opinion. It wasn't the greatest show ever. Not every show has to be the greatest show ever. It wasn't anywhere near a meh show or the worst show ever. It was a solid show. I'm trying to get tickets to the show in Baltimore, Full Gear, in November. I'm very interested to get to that because the Starcast will be there. I really hope this works out because I really want both to, go ahead, Harry.
That's Starcast, not Starcade, Dan.
I said Starcast.
I know, I was just making sure that you knew what you said.
Harry.
So you weren't confused thinking it was WCW Starcade.
Harry, WCW died.
Well, your words, not mine, Dan.
No, you said, son of a bitch. Go ahead, Craig. Yeah, I know you're biting a bit there.
No, I wasn't. What AEW has done in 2 straight shows is proven themselves to be a viable alternative for wrestling fans. And like you said, it wasn't the best show of all. It certainly wasn't the worst we've ever seen. But what they do have is some entertaining matches, really entertaining wrestlers, and they have loyal fans so far.
And
do you know what I like about them?
Go ahead. Just say it. Don't ask and just say it.
They have a dinosaur, a Tarzan, and a boy in one little group.
Exactly.
How obscure cartoon character kind of group are you going to find elsewhere other than a dinosaur, a Tarzan, and a boy in one group?
Exactly. I was talking to guys at physical therapy, and I was like, "You need to look up Luchasaurus." And he looks at Luchasaurus, and he's like, "That's the greatest thing I've ever seen. I haven't even seen it yet." I'm like, "You gotta watch him. It's great." He's 6'5", and he's doing things. I don't want to compare him to the legend that is Mike Awesome yet, because we never know how it's going to go. But he is a Mike Awesome type where he's this big, huge, tall guy, and he's doing flips and jumps and head scissors and all kinds of crap that a man that tall shouldn't be allowed to do. That being said, Jericho was crowned the first champion. And then a night later, he promptly lost the championship title. The actual belt is gone. Was gone. He left it in his limo, went to go eat at a steakhouse, and when he came out, the belt was gone.
How suspicious, as if that wasn't some sort of plan to have people talking about AEW. You do realize that they've just got every single one of you where they want you to be talking about it.
I loved it. I was loving it. I'm like, no, get out of here. There's no way. But that's why I had to tweet something. So it's like, Chris Jericho lost the title, and then 5 minutes later, Chris Jericho lost the title. It's one of the funny. And wouldn't you know it, a day later, the Tallahassee Police Department found the title safe and sound. Nobody was harmed, killed, or shot for it. But, yeah. Right when you thought we were all done talking about it, it was like Jericho did what?
Well, I'll put it this way. Two things of note when it comes to the title being lost. One, the second he put out a video through the AEW YouTube saying that he was doing the worldwide investigation to get it back. If you didn't think it was a work before then it was a dead giveaway that it is now.
Yeah.
And secondly, I was receiving texts and all sorts of messages between literally from when it was announced even up to right now saying you should have 3D printed a championship and said you had it.
Oh, man! That would have been great. That would have been spectacular if you would have been able to get a title and 3D print it. That would have been spectacular, Harry. I would have loved to have seen that. But But yeah, like I said, overall, it was a good show, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what the TV show can do. And we cannot say that it hasn't lit a fire under somebody's butt as far as WWE television, because we did have something you and I have been talking about for a long time, something that we've been waiting for a very, very long time, and we always got teased with it, and here it is, it's coming, and then it stopped, and then they'd be friends again, and then Sasha got injured, she was gone, and Bayley became champion, and then this whole thing off and on for 2 years, and what do you know, not only did she turn heel, but she did it and was still friends with Sasha Banks.
When it happened, Dan, I got a text from you with only 2 words. It happened. This was a huge deal for both of us, for Bayley fans or for Bayley non-fans for a long time. So well done. I think Bayley could have teased it more, like she was going to hit Sasha with the chair before turning on Becky, but still incredibly well done. Did it again the very next night on SmackDown.
Yep.
I think this expertly sets them all up for great matches at Clash of Champions, Survivor Series, and dare I say it, the 4 horsewomen finally did it. All 4 men all 4 of them are main events. I could see all 4 of them having belts at different times, having the world titles at the same time. Sasha's never been, hasn't been world champion in a long time. So the 4 horsewomen on display. They are the top 4 women in WWE. They ran NXT, so it finally happened in WWE. Bayley as a heel, I'm interested to see where, as long as she's aligned with Sasha, she will be, a heel. How she does on her own, I wonder if the wacky wavy inflatable arm flailing tube men will come out now that she's a heel.
Go on, Craig.
I wonder what happens to all the hugs, to all the huggers out there, the Bayley section.
See, there are 2 problems I have with this. Well, not really problems, but 2 observations. Because, problems in first that I care. The first one being the fact. Well, let's call the first one a problem because, all right, this has happened. They've turned Bayley heel, but we all know all too well of their track record of going back on things. And with them selling the whole 4 horsewomen, women's evolution thing on the next video game, how long before they turn both Bayley and Sasha back to babyface, reunite their little group to sell the video game, which is out in all of a month, which I'm sure Dan will be paying much coin for.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not buying another one of those.
Well,
nope.
The second thing being,
Maybe.
Little Miz main event there. Little Miz WrestleMania main event. Miz is Seth Rollins to be the hottest babyface in wrestling today. Everyone loves her. Yet they're cheering for the heel, absolutely going to town on it. Does that not say how kind of that star has burnt out now? How, everybody loves Becky Lynch and suddenly everyone's beating her up.
I think they have about a 6-month grace period with Bayley as heel before that also fizzles out. I don't know.
6 weeks.
I can't argue with you on that one either. It's going to be quick because that's why I'm going to enjoy it. It's not going to be 6 days. I'll punch you in the face.
I'll punch you in the nuts.
I'll kick you in the shin.
I'll hit you with Craig.
It's the business end of me. Go ahead, Dan.
Craig's like, get the show back on the track. Craig pulled it back on the track. There you go.
He's the responsible adult of us.
I did get concerned a little bit, but I was so happy I didn't care, and I'm ready to boo Bayley into the next farm. Like let's boo her into the next world. Let's do it. Make her. It's kind of like what they couldn't do with John Cena. They could do with Bayley because they booked her in worse than John Cena, where it's like, oh God, she's so friggin' happy. My God, I want to kill her. And I hope I'm keeping you up, Craig. And I think they get away with it because John Cena, it doesn't matter what he does. He's going to get half cheer, half boo. It doesn't matter. I knew two things. I knew two things were going to happen when she eventually turned heel, and that's why I begged for it so much. It was either going to be a majority, everybody's going to boo correctly, or everybody's going to cheer like they did. And like I said, I don't even care because I love Bayley. I love that she's still on TV. I love her character. I'm over the hugging everybody thing, but she is one of my favorites. So it reinvigorates the fact that she needs to be on TV, even for 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, Harry. I didn't care that everybody cheered. Days later, we're thinking about it now. I'm afraid what you said, Harry, the WWE is going to look at that and go, oh, so she's face? It shouldn't matter. The funny thing is we always compare things to Steve Austin changing the heel face thing, where he was supposed to be a heel for so long and he got cheered that they eventually were like, you're a face. It's over. It doesn't matter. With this whole thing about gray areas, he was still a face. Get out of here. But we remember that, but then we never remember it for the whole gimmick. You just keep somebody heel as long as you wrote it. You always go back on it. Like you said, Harry, if you've written 6 months, stay with it. Who cares if they're booing? Who cares if they're cheering? Stick to your story guns, however bad because the promo was good. She didn't sound like she was a robot for the first time in a long time. The stuff with Sasha was great. The facial expressions were great. The reactions were genuine because everybody wanted Bayley to have something other than hugs. So just stick with it. Let's see what happens until WrestleMania.
Well, seeing as sticking with it is a non-existent thing. Can we find a new sort of not really term but position, because we all know that the only heel out there in wrestling in general now is MJF.
Absolutely.
The Miz, if he's heel next time he's heel, because when he's actually heel, he is a heel. Maybe Jericho.
Stop for a second. That's another thing. Harry, you brought up a great point. We have this world where we can't decide until it happens. If we write as a heel, they cheer or boo, and then you have MJF, and you literally have The Miz, who is one of the most hated heels in recent history, being a face right now. And I understand because it's his TV show. That guy could be a heel for his TV and still get a TV show because people view Mike as a jerk. Oh, he was that jerk from Real World. What the F does it matter if he's like, I'm the good guy, Miz, if he's still on the TV show? He could be the... It doesn't make sense to waste that for television ratings that I don't think would be hurt by him playing a villain on TV. He's one of the best, and they're wasting him, in my opinion.
But yeah, that's why, other than those, 2, 3, I think we need something new, because clearly heel doesn't exist anymore with very, very, very small exception. So I feel like we need something else, because everyone just seems to be, I don't like being hated. I want to be liked. I mean, the three of us know each other. The three of us know each other incredibly well, and I'm pretty sure that the 2.5 of you right there can quite easily say that I don't feel the need to be liked. I can sit here and I can pick on Dan as much as I want, because I know at the end of the day I don't need to be liked.
Yeah.
But I sit here because I know I don't need to be liked. I know that it's quite easy to like me. I'm kind of a big deal, and that's why I'm talking over Dan, so he can't carry on talking, because I'm just like that.
Forgets I can hang up on him. I can hang up on him. But that's what
Anyway, but my point being,
I'm going to hang up. I'm going to mute you. That's what I was telling our mutual air quotes friend when he was like, "I'm so mad at him." I'm like, "I'm telling you, don't bother. If you're good, I'm telling you, you're going to get outworked. So just let it go. And if you don't let it go, don't tell me because I don't want to be involved because you're not going to win that battle. You are going to lose badly." And it's funny. I tell people when who's this Harry guy? I'm like, Harry is the best worker in wrestling that you've never heard of.
Oh,
he is.
Don't limit me to wrestling. I'm the best worker in
entertainment that you've never heard of.
Exactly. Although 5,000 followers on Twitter, and Arnold Schwarzenegger used to follow me, so
people have care that I put you over. It's like Harry worked me for a year and a half. It's out there. It's not like I'm mine.
We can go down the list of people I still work with the likes of.
No,
we can go down the list.
As long as you're nice to Craig, always. I don't care who you work. As long as you're nice to Mr.
I'm nice to Craig. I'm nice to Dr. Dean Dixon, PhD. There's countless others that are probably only like the two of them, but no, I mean there's countless people on that list, and well, if they fall for it, they deserve it.
Yeah,
See, don't need to be liked. Kind of a big deal, as the T-shirt would say if I wasn't wearing one that was just generically made for the sake of not being sued. Even though
I want to get serious. If I could be serious for a minute, Craig, did you have closing remarks?
I don't know if you were going to touch on this, but Harry mentioned heels and who are the best heels in wrestling. One of them, who's just a straight up heel. I can't see this person ever being a face at any time, but he took part in the best match of the week on any show, and that was Baron Corbin against Cedric Alexander. That was, and I see it coming from Cedric. Baron Corbin being involved in any match of the week, day, year, hour category, never. But that was incredible. Both men worked their asses off. Even on a missed spot by Cedric, Baron still sold it well. I don't know how you miss a missile drop kick, but Baron still.
Good, so we're going to discuss that.
But that's a credit to him, though. But Baron Corbin is just a straight up heel. Not so much with the heat, but just with being a heel, and he and Cedric put on the best match on any show this week, and it was incredible.
I don't know what change took place, but I said it last week, and you've just added on to it this week, Craig. It's almost been a complete 180 for Baron Corbin. Not just me, because I don't matter. Who cares if I don't like him? I'm talking about him and his presentation. The same character, he finally woke up. Does that make sense? I really feel something backstage changed where it's like, do this, just go. I don't know. I'm not there, but it's been completely different. And I'm telling you, Harry, if you didn't see it, when he said last week, hey, I'm going to win because you don't like.
I haven't watched Raw in 5-10 years, maybe 20.
He basically said, I'm going to win King of the Ring because you don't like me, and there's nothing you or anybody else could do about it. He literally took all the social media BS and put it into the promo, and it was like, all right, well, we're rolling now.
Well, do you know what I think they should do with him?
Oh, I'm afraid to. Go ahead.
I think with that kind of character that you're kind of describing to me that they're giving him, so that the evolution of Baron Corbin, if you will, I think that they should give him a manager. And if you can guess in one shot, just name off the top of your head, if you can guess who I think that should be, then Dan, you would have got that guess right.
Is he active?
Yeah, he's right in front of you on that TV screen. You hear him throughout the show. Dan is Corey Graves.
Oh,
I think they should put Corey Graves as his manager, mainly because that sort of personality meshes well with someone who almost is exactly the same personality.
Two unlikable. Yeah.
And then obviously, some people love him on commentary, some people hate him. It will kind of appease both because it'll mean the people that love him will get to hear him in a managerial role.
and still get to hear his voice. And people who don't love him, and you put your hand down, boy, this is not a classroom.
That's how I get the show. Okay?
And the people who don't
and
love
then
him.
when you're done, I'll talk.
I know. But the people who don't love him, well, they'll be not having to hear him throughout the show. You know, it's slowed down, so you'd have to wait longer before speaking.
I know what you're doing. That's why I'm laughing.
I know, and that's why I explain it to take longer.
I will just mute you. I just will hit mute, and you will just never. I didn't even hit it.
I know.
I'm great at what I do.
Oh, this is be one of the best episodes we've ever put out. I gotta have you on more often, but then Craig just sits there going, "Will you shut up, Harry?" Or you say, "Shut up, Dan." Probably the second.
Yeah.
I'm very. I was very happy they did a solid for Corey after the injury thing, and they're like, "We'll still give you a contract. You'll be an announcer." I don't understand why he wasn't a manager. After hearing him on commentary, and I don't always like what he says because he's a heel. Hey, what do you know? Duh. But yes, I never understood why somebody like Corey, who can talk his way out of a bag in any situation, from the MJF, Jim Cornette, Bobby the Brain Heenan school of heel, and yes, I will put those three names together even this early in MJF's career, why he was doing commentary. I mean, he's great at commentary. I don't mean it like he's bad at commentary. He's fantastic, but how he's not a manager, and it didn't even occur to me until you just said it, Harry, that is perfect, because 97% of the time, Baron Corbin can't cut a promo. The last 2 weeks, he's been great. Corey Graves would have been perfect for that, and now I want to see it. So write letters. Well, I think before I get in trouble, we should say goodnight, because there was going to be something else I wanted to bring up, but nobody else knows who the hell he is. Why would I give him more free publicity for a garbage worker who has terrible opinions? So we're just going to move on from that. And I learned that
Brady.
from Eric. Yeah, no, I'm not talking about Brady Hicks. Leave Brady Hicks.
Roughneck.
Maybe Roughneck.
I can't think of anyone to throw shade at now.
Justin America.
No. You show respect to a hero.
He kissed my ass. Justin America kissed my ass. Speaking of Justin and Dr. Dean, as you mentioned earlier, Harry, we're going to do our outro with you now. We're going to be doing a super shows coming up in 2 weeks, I believe. It'll come out in about a year, but it'll be myself, you, Justin Schmuck, and Dean Dixon.
Well, Dan, just to correct every wrong thing you've just said. Yes.
It was all correct.
On the YouTube channel of the great Harry Barnett. Yeah, yours truly. And yeah, I do look up to the sky like that. I don't know why. On that very YouTube channel, there will be a show with yourself, Dan Law, the host of HIAC Talk Radio, Stadium Journey producer, contributor, Obey the Puck, host, contributor, co-host, person, Ghostbusters fan, WCW obsessionist, Genesis stalker. No, I'm kidding. That's harsh. But you know, these are all descriptive words to describe you, Dan. You, Dr. Dean Dixon, PhD. You know, the oldest man that both of us know that isn't Roughneck.
He's like 3 years older than me. Calm down.
Who, Roughneck?
No, Dean.
No, maybe they're Highlander years. I mean, that would be understandable. He's been like alive for 3 generations longer than you, but no. So yeah, there's you. There's Dr. Dean Dixon, PhD, the man of an advanced age, and Justin America, local hero. That really explains it all. I mean, you did have Craig saluting him not long ago. Amber would too, but she doesn't want to get up. And of course, you know, yours truly, the great Harry Barnett, all on my YouTube channel, which I'm sure someone will kindly link Dan to link me to link you to.
If only we knew somebody that could put the link at the bottom of the video as we're talking about it.
Exactly. I mean, there'll be a lot of like numbers and stuff because I don't have a specific link yet. But
you don't.
But anyway, yeah. Along with that show, I've got a Christmas special with Big Vito LaGrasso, his wife Noelle, and Daniel Spencer, who is a referee at OVW, for anyone that doesn't know him. Video game videos, 3D printing videos, podcasts. There's all kinds of content there. So for anyone that is watching the HIAC Talk Radio Network on Dan's YouTube channel, you can find me, the Great Harry Barnett, and my YouTube channel. And if you pull another face like that, I will sit here and continue talking.
Exactly.
Which I'm probably going to do anyway.
Anyway, what's your Twitter handle, sir?
Oh, God. This kind of pressure. The Great HB. Yes, that's it. The Great HB, yeah.
It's very hard.
You can also find several other social media outlets such as Snapchat, Instagram, and many others at The Great HB, facebook.com/The Great Harry Barnett TGHB. That is all of my handles for today. Thank you and good night.
It's a little man with such a very large online presence. It's amazing. Craig, before Harry gets... God damn it. Before Harry gets on another tear, Craig, where can the people follow all of your doings online? Comic Book Gurus, your Twitter, all that stuff.
Thank you, Dan. You can follow me at Craig Ligons, CraigLiggeons, on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram. And you follow my other podcast, Comic Book Gurus Podcast, on WMMR.com, iTunes, Google Play, and wherever podcasts are sold for free.
You can follow me on Twitter at Dan Law.
The Dan Law 83 host of this show. No, I'm kidding. Go on, Dan. I'll stop interrupting you now. This is the last time I'll do it for this show.
Mute
right now.
Harry. He's muted. You can follow me on Twitter at DanLaw83. The HIAC Talk Radio Network is all social media platforms. HIAC Talk Radio, the HIAC Wrestling Podcast. I'm trying to ignore him so much. The Stadium Journey Podcast, Obey the Puck. It's all there. If you search HIAC Talk Radio, Obey Puck Shows, Stadium Journey. VOC Nation is our current home away from home for our podcast. So our site is back up at thebradyhicks.com. All of our episodes were there. All of them. He uploads classic episodes. He uploads the current episodes. It's all there. And of course, produced by the now silent great Harry Barnett, thank God, is our video podcast of all the shows at youtube.com/danlaw83. And I like that he's quiet. So we're just going to go on that for Craig Ligons and the thank God quiet Harry Barnett. I'm the above average comedian Dan Colchigo. See you next time. Have a... Shut up, Dan. Shut up, Dan. Shut up, Dan. Shut up, Dan. Shut up, Dan.